Hi friends, I'm super excited to share my new layout for the Shimmers Paints design team using the April color kits. This may be my favorite color kits ever. So I'm just going to tell you right now, you should go get this. The colors are fantastic. They're totally up my alley. I love every single one of them. So right now what I'm doing is I am showing you the paints from the color kit this month. There are 5 colors. That one in the top, no, this one right here. This one I'm showing you right now is called Luck of the Irish Creamies, and that is from the bonus bundle. But the other 5 colors, the 3 on the top and then the 2 pinks, are all from just the regular April color kits. And every single color is absolutely fantastic. So what I'm going to do here is I took a piece of Foundations Mixed Media white cardstock, and I am going to make 5 stripes of color. And then I'm going to be using this as the photo mats for my photos on the layout. So I started with the Piggy Pink Creamies, and there's 2 pinks in the color kits this month. So this is the darker pink. The Piggy Pinks Creamies it's a little bit more vibrant pink. And then the Sunny Side Up colorings, that's a spray. I will use it as a spray on this layout also, but for here right now I'm just using it with a paintbrush. And so I'm going to add that right there next to the pink. I'm going to dry it a little bit with my heat gun. And then I'm going to add a little bit more pink because I wanted these colors to be super bright and vivid. And then I'm going to go, and it's going in rainbow order. I don't have, there's no orange in the color kits, so it's not like a full rainbow or full spectrum. But the colors that I do have, I'm going in rainbow order. So the colors that I'm putting next to each other, if they do blend a little bit or mix a little bit, they would look good together. So that color right there that I did just now is Luck of the Irish. That's from the bonus bundle. So if you get the bonus bundle, that will be the color that you get. And then this next color is called Well Blew Me Down colorings. Sorry, some of these names are so cute. I have to think through them. Well Blew Me Down colorings. So that might be my new favorite, turquoise blue, I think. And then this last one is going to be another spray. So it's the Vibes, and I'm using it here as just with a paintbrush, and it's the blue jeans Vibes. And that is also a super beautiful blue. So all of the colors as I'm going down, I did dry them a little bit in between, but pink and yellow next to each other on the color wheel, those would mix beautifully. It's not going to create a muddy, ugly color. Same thing with the orange and the green and the turquoise and the blue. So if any of the colors did mix a little bit or overlap, it's going to create just even more beautiful color. So no worries about having those colors next to each other. So here you can see this is all I'm doing on this piece of paper. So I'm going to do these stripes, and then I'm going to cut them off camera. I'm going to cut them 4x6. So here they are. There's the 4x6. And then I'm going to distress the edges of those, and I'm going to use those as the mats for my photos. And then also I took some of the patterned papers from the collection and cut hexagons using my Cricut. So I just cut 1.75 inch hexagons, and so just under 2 inches. And then I'm going to be using those on the background. So I totally forgot to do a snapshot of all of the different patterned papers in the collection, but you can find that on the Shimmers website. It'll show you the patterns in the collection this month. Love every single patterned paper that is in the April color kits. They are fantastic. So here I took just 3 of those, the stripes, the blue, and the yellow kind of plaid looking ones. And I kind of know where my color, I know where the hexagons are going to go. So now I'm going to create the color on the background. So I used the Sunny Side Up colorings, sprayed that on there. And that's a new color. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. That's a new color this month. So I sprayed that on the back. It's a super great, kind of it's not quite a mustard yellow. It's a beautiful yellow. I love it's a little mustardy. On here, it looks a little lighter than it actually is in person. It's a little bit, I love a good mustard yellow. So it kind of leans that way. And then I'm using just a hexagon stencil because I've got hexagons that I'm using on the background. So I'm one of those people, I love to repeat patterns. You know that about me if you watch my videos. So I'm using a stencil that I have from my stash. And then I'm using the Piggy Pink Creamies again, just with an ink blending dauber. So like a foam dauber. And I am doing that through the stencil just for a touch. Like this pink that I'm adding is not an overwhelming element on the final layout, but you definitely see it. You definitely kind of notice, and repeating patterns tend to be pleasing to the eye. So that's really the purpose of that. I kind of wanted it to be a subtle little thing that you see, just kind of a subtle detail on the background. So I'm just doing it in a few little places. And then I'm also going to take that Piggy Pink Creamies and do some splatters on the background with the same color. So it's the same pink that I used through the stencil. And I'm going to do some heavy pink splatters. And then I'm going to sit that off to dry overnight because I wanted those splatters of color, I wanted them to dry just where they are, and I wanted them to be like kind of a vivid pink. So there it is, dry by the magic of video overnight. And then I took my photo mats. I did distress the edges of those. So those photo mats, again, are the stripes that I painted. So that's all from the color kits. So if you just buy the paint, you can make those. You wouldn't have the pattern paper if you don't get the paper kit, but you would have all the colors to make those stripes and that background. So that's all made right now just with Shimmer's paints and white cardstock. And then, or mixed media, I'm using Foundation's mixed media cardstock. So that's why it takes the color so well. And then I added black and white photos on top of those photo mats. I love these pictures of us, but the colors were like super problematic when I looked at them and I thought about printing them in color, but like the colors that my daughter and I are wearing and the colors that my son and my husband are wearing, like they were problematic together and they didn't look good with the colors that I was using for the layout. So I ended up printing them in black and white, and I love how black and white photos look when there's a bunch of color on the page. So and for some reason, I'm just into black and white photos lately. So here I am making another layout with those. So I added some craft foam to the back of those pictures, and that's just cheap craft foam from my local craft store. Doesn't even come with adhesive. I add my own adhesive. And then I went ahead and adhered those down because I wanted to make sure that my photos were right where I wanted them to be, and I'm going to add the hexagons around them. So I'm going one at a time, and I am gluing those flat to the background. So the photos add some dimension, and then the embellishments that I'm going to be adding on top will also add dimension. But the hexagons are just kind of like a soft element in the background. I did distress the edges of each of those, so they do add some great texture to that layout. Like in person, when you hold it in your hand, it's got great texture on those hexagons, but they're not lifted. And then I'm just going here, putting the hexagons down and making sure that I don't have the same patterns next to each other. That's really the only special thing that I did there. So I had 3 different patterns. And with 3 different patterns, when you're building a background, you can easily make it to where the same patterns don't touch. If you were just doing 2 patterns, that would be much harder. So 3 or more is good if you don't want the patterns to touch. And you can see I always do, and sometimes people ask me, why do you do like wet adhesive and dry adhesive? So the dry adhesive I add because it holds it in place for right now, and it is a permanent adhesive, but sometimes when you're gluing things down on top of mixed media, it doesn't stick well. So like a lot of the Shimmer's paints have some like metallic finish to them, and it tends to be that tape runner adhesive just doesn't stick as well. So I do that to hold it in place while I'm working. So it like sticks it down for right now. And then I do a dot of glue, and that sticks it down permanently. The wet glue works really well. And I use Scotch tacky glue in my fine liner bottle. Okay, and then there, what you saw, so these flowers and the hot air balloons and the leaves, everything that I have on the screen right now is from the paper kits, the April color kits. So all of those little embellishments come in the kit, and I love every single one of them. You did see me trim off the white edges off of the flowers. And then the yellow flower was it was a pretty pale yellow, but I'm not really like a pale pastel kind of girl. So I like vivid pastels, if that's really a thing. These colors to me are like vivid pastel. So they're a little bit brighter shades of soft colors. Hopefully that makes sense. I don't know. It makes sense in my mind. So the yellow flower was a very pale pastel yellow. And so I used the Sunny Side Up colorings I just had to spray it like one time to get the yellow, that little yellow flower a little bit brighter. And then I set it off to dry for like a minute or two, and then it was ready. It does absorb into the paper very quickly if you're not using like a mixed media or a watercolor paper. Okay, so the flowers, I kind of wanted the flowers to look like they were trailing down the middle of the page, and then the hot air balloons up there in top above us. So these photos are just from a regular day that we went out to dinner, but it was the start of spring, and so I thought that these colors were perfect for that. And the little embellishments on the page, from the ephemera, it says "Together is better." That little one that I added on top of that little pink phrase that I add on top of the photo, and then happiness. And then there's going to be another one that says, I think it says perfect when I add it in a minute. So I thought those little sentiments were perfect for just a regular day with my sweet family. And that's what I went with. So here I am popping up the flowers on craft foam. So I'm using a little bit thicker craft foam than I did for the photos. So the flowers sit taller on the page than the photos. And then each of those flowers that I trimmed the white edges off of, I am curling the petals. So I'm just like bending them with my fingers and adding a little bit of a crease to each petal, and then like kind of rolling it around to make it look lifted and like it's coming off the page. And then the sentiments, like the little word phrases, gosh, I'm having trouble with words tonight. The little phrases that I'm adding and the words, I did add craft foam to each of those little pieces of ephemera that are sitting on top of the photos. And then here I'm going with the leaves, trimming off the white edges. These little leaves are also from that same ephemera set from the color kits. And the leaves, again, you hear me say this all the time if you watch my videos. The leaves, the most important thing I will say about floral clusters, if you're adding flowers and adding leaves, the leaves should go different directions. So if you do flowers and then you add leaves and they're all going like the same direction, it's going to look weird because that's not how flowers grow. That's not how leaves happen in nature. And so your leaves really need to go different directions. So I try to make sure like every leaf I put down, like I have all different directions in those clusters, and it helps it look a little bit more natural and kind of, I don't know, I just like how it looks. And then I'm adding little tiny bees. These are also from the ephemera set. I love those little bees, and they look like they have a little, like they're flying, a little trail behind them. So I added those at the top, kind of around the hot air balloons. And then this sequin set from the bonus bundle is fantastic. There's like little magical flowers in there. I don't even know what those are. They're like little, so there's a bunch of sequins. There's lots of different types of sequins, some clear flower sequins, and then colorful sequins. And then there's these little teeny tiny flowers. They're like layered, brightly colored plastic. They're kind of thick and they sit off the page, but the back of them is perfect for gluing down because it's flat. So the back of the little flowers in the sequin set are perfect for gluing them down and helping them adhere to the page. They're just little magical little, I don't know. So I added those little flowers to the centers of some of my flowers, and then also added them in little clusters around, and I love them. So finished with pops of color. Here's some still photos of the layout. And remember, if you place a Shimmers order this month, put my name in the comment and you get a free gift. I hope you enjoyed the process, and I'll see you next time.